In today's video, it's all about digitizing, and I'm going to show you what's running through my brain as I evaluate my design, digitize my text, hoop my garment, and embroidery this very nice looking tote bag. First thing I'm going to do is draw out my entire plan of action for the digitizing phase. Here, I want to analyze my overlaps, my start and end points, minimize all possible cuts, and of course start analyzing the direction of my sand stitches. By evaluating the initial phase here, it'll speed up the next step, which is the digitizing process. Okay, so here I want to really focus on the overlaps, what's going over what. And I draw that out and I label them. And really what I'm focusing on is where am I going to start? Where am I going to stop? So here I'm just kind of analyzing what stitches are going over what and still monitoring any change of angles on my sand stitches. I have 3 cuts, 2 just on the G, and that's just because I want it to be laid out a certain way. Then from the R to the A, then there's only 1 cut all the way in the end. Okay, now we start the digitizing phase, and this is where the fun part is. Okay, we have already done all our thinking. We've already done it beforehand. So here, I'm simply gonna just start my sand stitches. And usually pretty much every popular software just has this regular feature where you just create your stitches, really setting up the angles of my stitches. Okay, now a key information here is that it's not being done perfect right now. Okay, so one very important thing is that the outline initially is not done perfect. I come back afterwards, I start tweaking my angles of my sand stitches. Okay, so I like to first do my object first, and then now I'm gonna get into the details of the angles. And the direction of your angles, you just want it to be as natural as possible. And I want to avoid making a cut at the final end, so I kind of adjust where I want my stitches to end. So here I'm continuing to trace my angles, and like I said before, it doesn't have to be perfect at this point because I'm going to come back and fix my nodes and fix my directional angles. I do have some very exciting announcements, and that is starting this upcoming year, I am going to go live every Saturday morning. So make sure you subscribe so you could check us out every Saturday morning, all about embroidery, especially going heavy on the digitizing side. So here is where I come in and I start fixing these angles, and you want it to look as natural as possible. And of course, underlay, very important. I have a single run and a zigzag going down below, so that should be good enough. And once I have this G ready, now I can continue with the text. Here, anytime I have a small hole like this, of course I wanted to get it as rounded as possible, but I also want to leave an extra gap just so that hole can be visible. Okay, so sometimes you want to over exaggerate some of your holes just so it looks natural when you're stitching out your final product. Okay, and here I'm zoomed in at about 900%, which is, you know, more than enough. You really just have to be at anywhere from 500, 600. zoomed in. Okay, so by me being here at 986, you know, it's no problem because it's a big design. So, and all I'm doing here is following the plan. I already planned it out, and I'm just following my plan, following the sand stitches. Of course, you always want it to be as natural as possible, and we always want to come back and make sure that our angles are correct. So here I'm just continuing, and anytime you deal with the letter N, M, there's certain letters that have a steep angle. So here I'm cutting this N into different sections. So as you can see, I'm not doing these texts all in one object. I do break them up into pieces, and the best feature about embroidery software is just the closest point. Okay, at the very end I'm gonna apply the closest point, and software, and this goes with pretty much every software, has this feature, the closest point feature, and that just allows the software, all the stitches, to kind of rearrange on the closest point available. Okay, and that just minimizes the cuts. So here it's showing 3 trims, which is good, which is the way I had it planned out. And right now I just want to make sure my angles are as natural as possible here. And of course, always want to do a replay, make sure everything looks exactly like how it's planned. And here I'm really just overlapping my stitches. You know, a lot of time it's good practice to kind of leave a little gap, but there's no problem with that on this one here. Okay, so all my overlaps are looking just like as I planned it out, and the final look looks very good. Now it's hooping time, but before we hoop, I want to set my center line. And I like to do center lines just because I like to be 100% sure that when I'm stitching out my stitches, they are as straight as can be. So here I have my perfect T, and now I'm going to cut my tearaway using my rotary scissors, and I just want to fit it to my hoop here. And I'll add some tape just to hold it so it's not going to shift when I insert it in here. It has my straight lines, so I'm just using my straight lines to kind of guide me, make sure that my hoop is straight. And now, once it's ready to go, hoop it up. And I use my ruler just to verify that I'm straight. And I have a sample here just as a guide, kind of give me a place. And once we're good, We're looking very nice, flush. And once we're ready to go, let's put it onto the machine. Of course, we always want to trace, and once we got that trace ready to go, it's complete. And look at that, looking nice, very clean, just like we drew it up. And this is 6 inches wide. Let's take a final look, super zoomed in, and as you can see, our stitches look very clean. Thank you for stopping by. Any questions or comments, make sure you leave them down below. And of course, like always, hit that subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.